Hi everyone, this is Charlotte Wessels and you're watching Interview Under Fire.
This is a sonnet for your soul, that it always will remain.
All right, everyone, welcome back to a brand new edition and brand new season number 9, actually, of Interview Under Fire. This is your host, Sunny, along with a very special guest, the immensely talented Dutch singer-songwriter and Charlotte Wessels. Charlotte, this is an honor. Obviously, I told you last time we saw each other technically in Dallas. Thank you so much for joining our IUF series today. Now, Charlotte, this is an exciting time of the year for you with the release of your first full-length solo album, Tales from 6 Feet Under, dropped September 17th on Napalm Records. And I just want to commend you on all of the well-deserved recognition it's been getting so far, especially with those handful of singles that dropped, like Victor, Soft Revolution, Lizzie, which features your collaboration with Elisa White Blues. And definitely more where that came from. There's just plenty of amazing things to discover about this unique album and who you are all about. But before we get to all that and beyond, and we talked about so many things before our interview. How are you, Charlotte? I know it's a simple yet important question. I know it's been quite the roller coaster for you personally for the last 15 months. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah,
Putting you on the spot.
It is a loaded question, isn't it? No, I am doing all right. I'm spending a lot of time down here, which I really enjoy. I've taken on quite some projects, and then of course I'm still doing the song every month, which is also how Tales from 6 Feet Under came to be. So a compilation of these songs that were born right here. I have the feeling that I have to emphasize that it's a compilation of kind of songs that were released in their own right, because the it's a very eclectic bunch, you know, and also, you know, the drums are programmed and all of that stuff. So I feel like I have to put that out there, and the record will make more sense. But yeah, it's been good. It's been a really intense year. It's been a very heavy year with the split. There's also been like really good thing. Like I've started the Patreon last year, and I never expected that would take flight the way it did. And then right now, today, I mentioned many projects. I think that after the split, I took on like a whole bunch of projects, because it was also like, don't fall into a black hole, you know. And so right now there's just a lot. Like there's a lot, and I'm enjoying it. But it's also, I'm also glad that it's summer, and that maybe, you know, at one point I can lounge in the sun somewhere. I haven't done a lot of lounging in the last couple of months.
Yeah, let's make sure you do that. You know, making the best of this situation it's an easier said than done process, and I'm glad to see that you're doing what you're doing, and something that you've done, you know, obviously before this pandemic. You know, you've been at this for nearly, you know, 2 decades, Charlotte. You know, 2004 comes to mind, maybe even before that. Of course, the last time I saw you was in Dallas with Amorphous and Annika Van Giersbergen, and who we've had the privilege to host both of those amazing artists on this show. You know, whether it's your solo work, whether it's with Delane or Phantasma, Countermove, Elysium, Camelot, I mean, that list goes on. I do begin to wonder, you know, how was the touring life and the live music experience for you personally? Because you've done some extensive touring, you know, you played at Download, you performed at Bang Your Head, Wacken, 70,000 tons of metal. And we've all been kind of just forced to take this unexpected step back. And I'm sure that this time lately has made you develop a growing appreciation of the touring life, right? Like, what was your favorite part about just touring in general?
I think that the energy of being on a stage, I think there's nothing that quite compares to it. The weird thing is, like, I've been going through a little bit of a process during this pandemic, and I think that a lot of musicians have. Like, I talk to colleagues, and some of them are like, I'm going crazy, I need to be on a stage now, what the fuck is happening? And some of them are like, you know what? I'm actually enjoying this time off. Like I've been touring for decades, so
Yeah.
it's nice to be at home. Like everyone kind of deals with it in a different way, and I don't think that there is a right or wrong way to it. As for myself, when the pandemic hit, we also had our challenges within the band, obviously. So I was kind of relieved that we didn't have to rush finding a resolution to that because we had to be in a state. This is really weird, but I really think that, with all of the sadness about the split, which is still there, one thing that kind of puts my mind at ease is that we had a lot of time to really look at all the different possibilities. Like, can we continue in a similar way?
Right.
If we had that rushed by being on the stage, then that would have probably been, we could have made the wrong decision. We could have carried on without solving what was happening. We could have quit without knowing. Then you would always have that what if, what if. So I am not mad at the time that we had to figure things out, even with the conclusion that we came to. Then another thing was that at that point last year, I was also going to therapy myself for some body issues. Basically, I've had a history of disordered eating, and I think, and this is something that I can only say in retrospect, because some of my friends said this to me, and I was like, oh my God, you're right. I was doing that therapy in a year that I was not on a stage. And I think that the fact that I didn't have to be in a position where I was at least feeling like I was looked at and maybe judged, all the time.
Right.
Kind of helped me to take a step back and also let go of certain expectations that I had for myself, from what I needed to be. And this all sounds like, oh, it was perfect not being on the stage. I'm getting there. So at one point I thought, you know what, maybe a few months ago, at one point I was like, maybe I'm just happier just being here in the studio, just doing work behind the scenes, releasing songs, and I don't have to do the whole touring thing anymore. Then I got an opportunity to do some live stream gigs, and I was in a music club on a stage. There were 3 people in the audience because it was COVID. Nobody could be there. So it was my husband, and then Timo's fiance, and one of the technical. And we were on stage, and like there was nobody there. There was no real live atmosphere to speak of. And still, we were there, and we started playing, and I was like, even like this, nothing fucking compares to this. And I was so happy to be performing again.
Yeah. So
I feel it's a weird emotion. I feel like I'm not grateful for the pandemic. I'm grateful for the time that I've had to kind of step back from it, to realize that I won't permanently step back from it.
Yeah.
That's kind of.
And what I'm also connecting with you on here is that it also allowed you for a way to connect with yourself that you may have not been able to connect before, and obviously with this pandemic, and I'm sure I can speak for myself, a lot of people out there, a lot of people have shown their true colors, during this pandemic, and whether it's good or bad, you really find out a lot about yourself. I'll tell you this, I've been to the ER the most, like the hospital. I've been to the hospital the most in this last year than I have any other time. Who would have thunk? If you would have told me that I would be in a hospital during a pandemic, not for the cause of the pandemic, but something completely different, I would think you'd be insane. But I can totally relate to what you're talking about. Another thing that happened during this pandemic, I do want to touch on this because there's a lot of sadness. Let's talk about something that's been great for you, because you created something unique, which allowed you to connect with your passionate fans. I'm going to quote you here, by the way. I will show you the paint behind the painting and the singing behind the songs. Let's cut out the middleman and see how wild this thing can get. This Patreon. And in this Patreon, you built such a strong community amongst your fans and followers with this creative music you put out, which we will touch on here in a second. And where you let your supporters take a deep dive with you and see what you have been working on behind the scenes and everything that you do. For the listeners who are out there, if you don't believe me, go to YouTube and watch the video for Masterpiece and you'll see what I'm talking about. Do you have just any words to just describe this whole experience? I'm sure it's helped you get through this crazy time we are all in, of course.
Definitely. It is still wild to me that this group of people that so graciously have been the support system, that they are here, that they connect to each other, that they connect to the platform that I've been trying to make. Like when I started, I thought I am going to start a Patreon, and if I'm lucky, you will have something like that within a few years. You know, the thing that surprised me most is the number of people that joined, like straight from the beginning, and but also the level of commitment and the level of interaction that is there on the Patreon. They talk a lot about like giving back to me, like when they did a lyrical video for Masterpiece, which was a secret. Like I didn't know that they were doing that.
I love that. I saw that. I love that. I love that they did that.
I cried.
I even teared up like watching that Masterpiece, like watching your reaction. I'm like, Sonny, what are you doing? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Considering how much of a big, I've been following from your music for such a long time, and just seeing this round out to what it is today, I think it's just I mean, you can't make this up.
No, and the thing is, like when they did that, they were talking about giving back, and I was like, you guys, that's ridiculous. You guys are the ones that have been giving to me from the start. Like the fact that I am able, through their support, to be a musician and to be able to pay my mixer, my master, my photographer, my film guys, everyone through their support, like that to me is like, that is such it's a luxury position to be in. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they have to feel like they should give back, because they're already giving. But I'm very grateful that they regard it that way, like that, the fact that it feels like, an equal exchange. And that's I don't really have words for it.
No, that's okay. And that counts as an answer, because I think that also shows the impact you have had on the fans throughout the years. It's not just something that just, happened. This is building up to that moment. And it really shows how impressive your whole career has been up to this point. And this is just adding on to that, and I don't know if you want to add something else. I think
I was about to hook in on what you said, because I've been speaking with some there's some research going on in the Netherlands about music and giving, and like new ways of making music and funding music. And I was asked to speak about that because the Patreon in this extent, like it's not used a lot, in the Netherlands. So I was invited to speak about it and also talk to other people who were doing a Patreon. And I think that like it has to match what you do in general. And for me, like I really enjoy like connecting with the people who listen to the music. Like it hasn't always been possible in the last couple of years, especially when the shows got bigger. But I always really enjoyed just hanging out after a show, having a beer with fans and listeners. Like if I can, if I don't have like a 5 shows in a row streak. But it's like I feel like I've always been trying to connect to people as much as possible, and the Patreon is kind of making it official.
Yeah. I mean, simple things like that, just grabbing a beer with just people, like it's, I mean, nowadays, I mean, I feel like that's just that's a lot to ask for. And I feel like you've said it perfectly.
Yeah, but I also felt like, sorry, I could talk about this forever.
Oh yeah, that's fine. The floor is yours.
I also felt, because there's also a balance there, because I don't want to do a Patreon to be like to be like, oh, you know, this is exclusive content. Like the one decision that I made before I thought about even doing this is like, this is where the music really has to live. This is really where the base of all the new things has got to be. I don't want to charge people to see what my house looks like, or what my cat looks like, or my garden looks like. You know, it's really got to be the main thing that makes new music happen, and that is the way that I can really make it worthwhile for people. Yeah, that's something I wanted to add. Sometimes I'm afraid that people will think like, you know, it's a subscription system to just get closer to an artist or something. And while it's absolutely true, because, you know, the things that have been happening and the connection and the community that has been growing, like I didn't expect that myself. But it's not the main point, you know. The main point is just to make new music, make new project, make new things. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be non-music things too in the future. Yeah.
Hey, it's only
goal.
been 1 year, Charlotte. I'm sure there's
right, exactly.
you're gonna be able to explore so many other venues, which is that I love just the fact that you have the opportunity. That's the key word, that you have the opportunity to even express yourself in more ways that you, again, I sound like a broken record, that you may not been able to do before in the past. And I know we talked about everything except the solo album. The Tales from 6 Feet Under dropped September 17th on Napalm Records. Now, if I may, I'm going to go ahead and do a short review here, because my mind is going to explode if I don't get this out there, because you alternated between, I'm going to quote you again, eclectic. You talked about eclectic, the sounds of the melancholic alt pop and the synth infused rock. It was very intimate, very honest. And you even have the traditional heavy metal elements in there. You definitely have really honed in to your identity if you didn't already do that before. I mean, jazz singing, classical singing. I mean, this had it all. I begin to think, songs like Superhuman, to the Dutch dialect Afkiken, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, to Victor, to the Gerard McCann cover of Cry Little Sister. That may be my personal favorite. That came out of left field. Like, oh my goodness, that may be the best version of that. I'm just a fan out there. But of course, Soft Revolution, walk me through this, because you had that natural maturation to your sound. Was that sense of comfortability for you in the studio, Charlotte, knowing that you had full control over how you wanted this record to sound, because it was recorded in your 6 Feet Under home studio, like that you're in right now?
Yeah, everything is from here. Like I brought it to, like, with the exception of the song that I've done with Elisa, where she did some arranging as well and singing, obviously.
Yeah.
With the exception of that, like everything was made here. Obviously, I'm not like a multi-instrumentalist. Like I'm not drumming in here. Like I program my drum like any other nerd.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing, and I really like it. How do I start? What do you want to say, Charlotte? I just really enjoy sitting down here and just deciding like what kind of song am I going to do today. And I usually just go to sounds that inspire me, and a line will pop up and I will go wherever that takes me. And in the beginning, I just had a whole pile of songs that I kind of wanted to get out there because they've been on a shelf for a while and they didn't fit the lane or anything else that I was doing. So in the beginning, I had that. And I still have quite some of those things, but I also kind of already moved on, like, how do I say that? The learning curve has been really steep in the last year, and some of those older ideas that I started out with, like I started out thinking, if I just finish the song ideas that I already have, I can do 3 years of Patreon with the songs a month. But by now, I already think that maybe my standard has gone up.
Oh yeah.
So maybe some of
you
those
already set the bar higher without even knowing.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like I could still put them out as demos or whatever. But the pressure for the song of the month is definitely building, because now I want each one to be better than the previous one. But I've got to tell myself, like, if you're doing a song every month, that is a setup where you can throw in the weird ones or the, the odd ones. I also think that that's one of the things that made this album or this compilation album or whatever you want to call it. I think that makes it delightfully weird.
Yeah. Throughout this entire interview, we haven't really had to describe this record because that's what it is. It's an experience. With Tales from 6 Feet Under, you really have this, I mean, even throughout your career, you have this exceptional ability to express the most like sincere feelings and emotions within your art. Soft Revolution, I'm just going to put that as an example. Like the first couple of lines in that is, oh, nothing here's okay. And that's okay. We will be here from now on. It really resonates at a time like today. I feel like there was like a theme to this album. Like if that's true, how important are themes to you, Charlotte? Is that, to what level do you like to have something like that for your music? Did you have that idea going into Tales from
Yeah,
6 Feet
I've
Under?
shifted a little bit in that over the years. I always feel like there should be a message that you're conveying with the songs. And for example, Soft Revolution, like I was going through things, but everybody was going through things, I don't think that a lot of people went like whistling through a pandemic like that. For me, it's always the art is taking the feeling and making it relatable. It's not like I want to put like, and it has to be relatable because it shouldn't be about me. When you're listening, it should be about you. And I think that the challenge for me is always like, how do I take the focus away from me at the moment where I think of a line, because it pops up, and it pops up usually because, something that you're feeling. How do I take the focus away from me and put it in a place where, a listener can feel empowered by it? And what I used to do years ago when I was, for example, talking about, I've become a lot more open about things like the eating disorder. I wouldn't talk about it years ago. Like what I used to do was like, I would take that line and then I would make everything so abstract that no one could know what it was about. And it would sound poetic, but no one would have a clue what it was about. And especially in that, when you're talking about themes, like I'm trying to change that when there is like the first part is being more open about it, but still like, I don't want to be like an exhibitionist, like, here are my feelings, deal with them. If there is a certain thing that pops up, but I don't necessarily want to write a song about that, or it's a feeling that I'm not really proud of having, because everyone has them.
Yeah.
Jealousy or whatever.
Of course.
Then what I usually do is I find a piece of fiction that kind of centers that emotion, because then I feel like, okay, so now I know that if I sing about this piece of fiction, that I am conveying the emotions from a place that is true, that is, is something that I'm feeling, but it's also not about me. But I think that in my experience now, I think that is a better way to deal with the things that you don't really want to put out there, because then it's still a story. Then you don't have to make it abstract. You just make it fiction. And for me, it's a relief to be able to make things fiction. And in that way, everything can be a story. And in that way, everyone knows what you're talking about. Because I love, like, for example, I'm very fond of Muse. Oh, am I going to say something negative about one of my... Okay, so I love Muse, but I don't think the lyrics are the best lyrics. So I can really love music where the lyrics aren't really my thing. But when they are, it's like the icing on the cake, though. Yeah. That's so I always try.
Shout out to Muse, by the way. We love Muse. We love you guys.
Yeah, no,
I grew up with that music, so I totally understand what you're saying.
They're the first band I ever went to. Maybe we got to cut that out. So there is this band that I won't name where they're okay, never mind. Cut it out. Yeah. No, Muse is really one of my favorite bands.
No, I love Muse. And I also want to say thank you for sharing what you did, because it's not easy to talk about the struggles that you have been through, about, you're more open now. And I really appreciate that you shared that with us. And I'm going to let you get to your friends here. I know your friends you're about to have a party now, which is good. We need more of that. And I'm going to finish these
It's
off.
so nice just to have a few people over, like not
It
even
is,
a
right?
lot, but
I
just
know.
have a visitor, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, enjoy yourself. Make sure you do that too. And I know that's an easier said than done thing these days, and I'm struggling with it myself. But from the different experiences and perspectives in your timeline that you have taken in, which we have discussed about, Charlotte, again, nearly 2 decades and culminating handful of albums and songs and dedication to your craft, spending majority of that sharing the stage with your bandmates and Delane, and of course the worldwide touring cycles you've completed, the dedicating and growing fan base you have had all this time. And now we're kind of entering a new chapter here. What is the most rewarding part, Charlotte, for someone like you, who is now at this point in their career, at the same time has been involved with so many other different aforementioned, brilliant artists, fans, people throughout that timeline? Do you ever just stop for a moment to take a look back at how far you've come?
No.
That's good.
Maybe I should though.
I mean, it's okay if you don't. For me, it's like, I think it's easy to lose track of yourself. The more successful you are, and sometimes it could be important to just push everything back and just take a look at it from the outside and just exhale and then go back into it and figure out why you do what you do. I don't know.
No, I actually think it's good. I should do that more often. I can imagine that also.
I think you're doing that in a way, at least, with the Patreon. You're
yes.
Now you're no longer with Delane. Of course, that's a sad departure, but it allowed you to again express yourself in a way you've never been able to express yourself before.
Yeah.
That's another way.
Yeah, that's right, and that's good. And
I think I answered it for you.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I have got an easy job tonight.
There you go. Charlotte, this has been such an honor. I can't wait till we do this again in person this time. Actually say hi to each other, because last time we were both in the same room in 2 different places.
I look forward to being back in Dallas. I really enjoy being in Dallas always. That's also a nice
we love
part
you.
of the
Do you
city.
remember the crowd? Like, the crowd loved you there.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was such a
I've had a couple of birthdays in Dallas. Like, it's usually like,
when
because we always do those spring tours, and it's May 13th. So
wait,
I've had
May 13th is your birthday?
Yeah.
That's my brother's birthday. What the heck? That is crazy. Day. And my best friend's birthday is on May 13th. Insane. Anyway, that's having said that, I hope to see you in that. Maybe we'll do the vegan cauliflower wing challenge. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be great. I love vegan cauliflower.
Yeah. Charlotte, do you? Oh, of course. And do you have any last words? Just any shout outs you'd like to plug in or mention as far as Tales from 6 Feet Under before we finish things off here? I don't know if you have a new music video, or I don't know what you can and cannot say.
I've got a new video coming out on Wednesday, noon CET. And Tim Tunku made it, and Tim's a photographer, a friend of mine. I think a lot of people from this scene will probably know him. He's done a lot of work.
I know him. He's amazing at what he does.
Yeah, and I'm really excited that he's taking the leap into video with me. Yeah.
And everyone who's listening, this is the legendary Charlotte Wessels. Tales from 6 Feet Under dropped September 17th on Napalm Records. Please, if you could, buy the record. It's easier said than done. Request again. The fans can't, the artists can't do it without the fans' help. And I still buy records that's sitting in the corner of my room today. I'm old fashioned like that. I still buy records. And don't forget to check out Charlotte's Patreon. How can the followers follow your Patreon? Is there a link?
Yeah, it's patreon.com/Charlotte Wessels. Easy.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. And make sure you follow her on the socials. You can listen to this podcast and interview on literally every major stream out there: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. You can check us out on interviewunderfire.com. Charlotte, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Stay safe out there. Have a good time tonight with your friends. Chill, relax, enjoy yourself, and I will talk to you next time.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day over there.
All right.
This is a sonnet for your soul, that it always will remain untamed. This is a ballad for your dreams, may they never wake
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review, as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.